Whether produced by Marvel or directed by Guillermo Del Toro, sometimes the trailers are the best part of any movie. But what happens when the trailer you watched is nothing like the final version you go to see a couple months later? The movies might be coming soon, but if the trailers keep being misleading, audiences might be leaving now. Watch what happens when movies end up being nothing like the trailers that teased us. And while this video gets a rollin', click the subscribe button to stay up to date on coming attractions here at Screen Rant. Avengers: Infinity War. Avengers: Infinity War has been the movie on everyone's mind since the last Avengers movie, but there were some particularly misleading shots in the trailer, including one showing the Avengers crew leading a charge of Wakandan forces against an unseen enemy. Running just behind Captain America is the Hulk, who seems right at home fighting alongside his fellow superheroes. Except Bruce Banner couldn't transform into the Hulk for most of the movie, and was in Stark's Hulkbuster suit at this point in the story. Directors Joe and Anthony Russo have admitted that this falsehood was done on purpose to throw off the fans. Thanks for keeping us on our toes, Russo bros. Crimson Peak. Guillermo Del Toro is known for his lush visuals and jarring subject matter, and the marketing for Crimson Peak played on both of these. The finished film also has jumpy moments that play with the horror tropes Del Toro is known for, but much more of the movie is focused on the moody 19th century romance that Guillermo said was less ghost story and more story with a ghost in it. It's more of a love letter to the gothic horror of Edgar Allan Poe than the thrill-a-minute scare fest that fans might have been expecting. Cabin in the Woods. Even the title Cabin in the Woods plays on the audience's expectations of that age-old slasher trope. We expect the events to take place in an isolated setting, like a cabin in the woods. Only here, the entire point of the film was to subvert expectations with a twist that only would have worked had the trailer been one big misdirection. The trailer Lionsgate released focused on the screwed-up elements that make up your standard slasher film, while keeping the meta references and humor to a minimum. Any mention of the cabin and the monsters around it being one big conspiracy by a cult-like organization looking to sacrifice teen victims in the commercialized, pagan-like ritual is hidden, just as it should be.
A visitor has come.
Alien 3. Alien was a slasher flick in space. Aliens is an action film in space, and both revolutionized the genre with thrills, scares, and big ideas, anchored by a classic performance by Sigourney Weaver. Alien 3 wasn't so lucky. After a painful development process that saw many pages of rewrites and lots of studio interference, the finished product doesn't have as much love as the first two installments. Perhaps audiences should have smelt something foul right from the trailer with a tagline, "In 1979, we discovered in space, no one can hear you scream. In 1992,
we will discover on Earth, everyone can hear you scream."
The only problem? Alien 3 doesn't take place on Earth. Drive. Who doesn't love a good chase flick? The studios, apparently. Maybe Nicholas Winding Refn doesn't direct the types of films studios think will sell, so they try their hardest to misrepresent these movies when marketing them. This is why when Drive was being advertised before the release, it was being pitched to audiences as an action film on par with The Fast and the Furious. It might have hurt ticket sales, but the portrait of a stunt driver moonlighting as a getaway driver had some tortured and heartfelt performances to go along with the insane chase sequences.
You never told me your name.
Why do you want to know my name?
I want to know who I'm looking at.
Scream. Scream seems like your average slasher movie, much like Cabin in the Woods, until it goes all Game of Thrones on us and kills the star of the movie. Here, Scream actually one-ups the shocking no one is safe philosophy of GOT by going ahead and killing the biggest star just 10 minutes in. The trailers and posters for Scream prominently featured Drew Barrymore, and then made her fall victim early to deal the ultimate shock to the audience. In crafting a film that commented on the nature of horror films, director Wes Craven managed to one-up other movies in the genre by generating scares and humor in equal measure.
1, 2, 3. Special Task Force.
Observe and report. When Observe and Report came out, it seemed like the thinking man's Paul Blart Mall Cop. The trailer highlighted many of the more lighthearted gags and day-to-day gaffes you might find in a movie following a hapless mall cop, but it failed to show any of the heart in Seth Rogen's performance, or really, the lack of heart. Rogen plays a mall cop whose aspirations lead him to make increasingly selfish, dark, and absurd decisions in a performance that's more Taxi Driver than Paul Blart, and critics couldn't tell whether Rogen's character was supposed to be funny or alarming.
All I'm saying is, I'm not fighting.
In Bruges. In Bruges is written by Irish playwright, screenwriter, and director Martin McDonagh, who's known for pushing buttons, and his Oscar-winning film 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri was marketed exactly as it should have been. In Bruges was not so lucky. Audiences saw a trailer for a movie that was billed as the next Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. You know, a quick-paced British gangster comedy about charming, fast-talking criminals and quirky heists. Instead, we got a movie and a performance by Colin Farrell that toys with black comedy, but also leans heavily into the personal struggles of a hitman in a moment of crisis.
It's all yours. So are you headed home?
Yeah, trying.
Red Eye. Red Eye is more thriller than straight-up horror, but the marketing team certainly didn't know that when they assembled these clips into a 2-minute presentation. Upon first viewing, Red Eye looks like a romance where a man and a woman have a meet-cute at 30,000 feet. But this is directed by Wes Craven, and the dark turn, that Cillian Murphy is not all he seems, is given away at the minute-and-a-half mark of the trailer. Star Trek Generations. And here we are, the final film on this list just as we enter the final frontier. Billed as the film that finally matched up Star Trek's Captain Kirk with Star Trek The Next Generation's Captain Jean-Luc Picard, the trailer played up the connection that the two were supposed to have on screen. It's a shame they don't really share much screen time until the conclusion of the actual movie. In the ultimate letdown for fans, Generations' theatrical cut finally unites the captains in the last act, only to have Kirk face a less than satisfying end. As the internet is fond of saying, rather than dying heroically as a captain on the bridge, a bridge falls on the captain.
Good luck, Captain.
Call me Jim.
And that's the end of this video. Do you prefer your trailers to be as surprising or spoiler-filled as possible? Let us know in the comments section below. And don't forget to like this video, share it, and subscribe to Screen Rant on YouTube so you could stay up to date with our awesome content. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.